Okay, I think we're live. Welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. So I got a question about zombie properties, and I was very tempted to just reply with my recordings on driving for dollars, right? Because really, when you're driving for dollars, you're looking for a so-called zombie property. So we're going to talk about what they are, and I'm going to reiterate what I think about driving for dollars or looking at zombie properties in New York specifically, but other places too. So, zombie property is a property that's basically vacant. No one's living there. It's been empty for a long time. Looks like crap, right? When you're driving for dollars, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the worst looking property around. Now, New York is unique. It's a tongue twister. Unique New York, right? New York is unique because the foreclosure process takes significantly more time here than any place else, right? It can take, before the pandemic, take 12 years. Now with the pandemic, you're talking about 15 years. Tremendous amount of time to foreclose. Therefore, what happens is a lot of these properties that could be very good leads in other parts are not good leads in New York. So I told people, I've said this before, but I said, you know what, I'm going to do driving for dollars. Everybody I speak to in other parts of the country is doing driving for dollars. And that means, send people around looking for crappy zombie properties and then send them back to me. Send me the list. So here's what happened. I did 600 properties. So a couple things. There's an app called Deal Machine, which basically does that. It finds your location, and if you take a picture of the property, you can take a picture of yourself in front of the property, and you can send the owner a postcard. It'll find the owner, send them a postcard saying, hey, I want to buy your piece of shit, basically. Now, the issue is that you have to do some research, especially in New York, because we are the only place in the country where something can languish for a very long time and not get foreclosed on. So let's talk about other states first. So if you're in Texas, for example, or other states that foreclose quickly, if a property is sitting there like that, it usually means there's no mortgage on it because it would have been foreclosed on already. And somebody may or may not be paying the taxes on it. Maybe there's a tax lien, depending. Each county has different tax lien rules. So that's a good sign, right? Because somebody's sitting there, paying taxes on a piece of crap that's empty. But in New York, what I found is that did the research on 600 different properties, and I can tell you that they all fell into one of four categories. One is they were already bank owned. So the bank had foreclosed on it. The bank just hadn't done anything with it yet, which is very common that banks will buy a property and not do anything with it. To me, that's not a deal. What's going to happen to that property almost assuredly is that it's going to be listed by an agent and it's going to be up for grabs for anyone. Or the bank, some banks here actually do their own repairs. That's happened, believe it or not. Or it's going to be sold in some pool of 400 other properties to some fund that's going to then, try to sell it for a lot of money. But for me to get into touch with the asset manager who's going to know that, just not worth my time. Probably not a deal already. That was category one. Category two, and this happened a lot, is that it went to foreclosure auction and it was bought by an investor, right? And then the investor was getting permits, or the investor hadn't gotten to it yet. In which case, clearly, it's not a deal, right? If a zombie house is owned by another investor, it's very rare he's going to sell to you at a price where you can make money on it. Possible, but not worth my effort, right? The third category that a lot of these zombie properties fell into was a lot of them were reverse mortgages. Now, I think I'm one of the few people on the planet who understands reverse mortgages well. I did them when I was in the mortgage business. They were an excellent product. Now it's changed and it's harder to get a reverse mortgage now than it was. The problem with a reverse mortgage is that you don't know what the balance is on the mortgage. Okay, so the way most reverse mortgages, which were home equity conversion mortgages, HECMs, they were FHA insured products, and when we closed them, we had to record 150% of the maximum proceeds allowed. So if the maximum proceeds allowed were $400,000, we had to record a mortgage for $600,000. The problem with that, A, is that very often the people did not take all the proceeds, so the balance could be $200,000 at that time, and B, that very often people did take all the proceeds, in which case there's interest accruing on the interest, that if something's been around for 10 years, it could be much more than the balance. So the balance that was recorded there's no relation to to what the balance that's recorded to what the actual balance is. You don't know because you don't know how much the borrower took. What that means is that you don't know if this property is significantly underwater or less. And the biggest problem is you can't get that information unless you are the borrower, who's almost certainly dead at this point, or the heir, and you can prove that you're the heir of the borrower. So I've had situations where heirs came to me and said, call the servicer. They're sending statements, call them, and they wouldn't even give the information to the heir till the heir proved that they were the son and that they were the executor of the will. It was crazy. So to me, also not worth the time. Now you may say in all these situations, I'll spend the time on it, right? Go right ahead. If you want to try and call the asset manager of the bank that bought the property, or you want to call the investor that bought that property at the foreclosure auction, or you want to try and find the heirs to see if this is even a deal, go ahead. For me, it's not worth the time. The fourth category that a lot of these properties fell into was that they were incredibly underwater. So like I'm talking about, they had taken a mortgage out in 2008 for $1 million, and I couldn't pay more than $500,000 for the property. I understand after all that time, that's probably $2 million. So you may say, hey, I'll work the short sale. That's great. If you want to go, here's the way I look at the business. When I see a property, I want to talk to the decision maker. And if the seller can talk to me, I'm happy to talk to you. Now, you may be in a different position in your career, and you may have the time to go through these. I've found that I don't want to deal with any of those categories. Now, if you find a zombie property and you do the research, and you can find in my videos, you can just search driving for dollars in my videos, and I go through how to do the research in Nassau County, which is relatively easy, how to do the research in the 5 boroughs, which is really easy, how to do the research in Suffolk County, which is much harder unless you have PropStream. It's a little bit easier it's much easier with PropStream. You can do all of the searching on PropStream if you want, but assuming you don't have a PropStream subscription, Acris is the great site in all 5 boroughs of New York City. And then the Nassau County website is lrv.nassaucounty.gov or mynassauproperty.com. That'll give you the section, block, and lot. And then you go to uslandrecords.com, and then you can go search by section, block, and lot. You can see all the recorded documents. So you'll see if there was a mortgage, if the mortgage was paid off. Right now, if you do that research and you find nothing on it, right? No recorded mortgages, no list pendances, no list pendants means they're in foreclosure. You may have a home run on your hands. It's very possible, but if there's a tax lien on it, you're going to have to pay off that tax lien. There's all kinds of things going on there. So you have to do that research first, because I found that, and I was very discouraged because Deal Machine said 600 properties gets you a deal. I'd say about a year or two ago, I met a guy from Deal Machine, and I'm like, I did 600 properties. He's going, well, what's your ARV, your median ARV, your after repaired value? And I'm like, I don't know, 600,000. He goes, oh. Then it takes like 1,600 properties to get a deal. So I'm like, oh. So I probably didn't do as much driving for dollars as I should have, but the truth is, you got to understand, in our area, we are unique in that because the foreclosure process takes so long, a lot of those properties are in some stage of the foreclosure process. A property wouldn't hang around in crappy condition like that in a lot of places where the foreclosure process is quicker. So that's how I feel about zombie properties. If you want to spend the time doing the research, do it. Don't send them to me until you can give me a really good reason why this might be a deal. And I'll be happy, if it really is a deal, I'll be happy to tell you this could be a home run, right? And I've hired genealogists to find heirs of properties where everyone was dead going back 4 generations. I'll do that if I have to. Because very often, if you find a real zombie property, a real good driving for dollars deal, where you can find, where the owners are dead, and maybe they had no kids, but you find like a second cousin, and you call them up, and you go, hey, I got interesting news for you. Your second cousin, who you probably don't even know, died. You're the heir. With heirship affidavits, we can get you ownership, and you can make some money here. Some people say, yippee-ki-yay, I'm jumping all over that. Some people start getting greedy and go, well, I don't want to sell it so fast. Let me see how much it's worth, blah, blah, blah. But you can. These could be home run deals, like 6-figure deals. So I'm happy if you want to spend time on it. I don't want to spend that time on it. All right, I'm happier talking to sellers who have the ability to agree to my price or not, and then for me to move on to another seller. But if you're early in the stage of your career and you want to spend this time, you may hit a massive home run with one of these. So that's what I feel like about zombie properties. I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways that I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com or learntoflipandwholesale.com. I hope that site's working. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help the algorithm. A lot more people have been seeing my videos, so thank you very much for everybody that's liking them. And please keep the comments coming. This came from a comment from Just Steven. And I want to thank you for the suggestion. Keep the comments coming. You can ask a comment about anything. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. If it's something simple, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video on it. And if it's something new, I'll do a brand new video on it. Or even if it's something I haven't covered in a while, I'll do a new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.